Hey everybody, and welcome to Jack's Treasures here on YouTube.
I'm Brian. This is my wife Tracy, and Jack is our cat. She's behind the shirt right there.
Yeah.
You can't really see her, but we are Jack's Treasures. Oh, there you go. Jack is the cat. That's what our shirt says right there. Today is Monday. We have just gotten back from Plains to Profit in Omaha, Nebraska.
Probably when we launch this, we will be in the car heading home, driving home.
I'm confused again already.
Right.
She does this to me because we batch record, guys. So that's what we're
I'm
doing.
going to say I'm going to get bored in the car and I'm going to launch the video.
That's a good thing.
Yes.
That's a good thing. Also, definitely check out our video that we launched yesterday, which was our podcast.
What? Not another reselling podcast.
I know, very creative, right? We had Ken SSK Promo on with us yesterday as our guest, so definitely check that out. It was launched yesterday at 12 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
If I do it right this time. All right, today is Monday, so that means that we are going to be talking about storage unit purchase tips, and we have a great episode.
Less of a tip and more of a just discussion. We are going to talk.
We don't even have any show notes today.
We don't. We are going to talk about the myths of Storage Wars. You've probably seen the show. We love the show. I will say, from a entertainment factor, it's a great show. But
it's literally been on for like 13 years. It's
longer than that.
I don't know if it's still on anymore. 13, maybe 15 years? Maybe?
Yeah.
I don't know. But I know one thing. It spawned off Storage Wars Texas, Storage Wars Miami, Storage Wars New York, and Northern Treasures,
which happens to be one of our very favorites, actually.
Yeah. That one is actually
that
a
one
lot
has
of fun.
a lot of the entertaining factor to it.
That's the one thing about it. That's the very first myth is it does have an entertainment factor to it. They have to show you the things that make the television show worthy of getting those advertisers in there so that they can make some money. And obviously they did it very, very well.
But much the same way that your experience on a desert island is going to be nothing like watching Survivor. Your
favorite
experience,
show,
my favorite show. Yeah. Your experience as a storage unit purchaser is not going to be the same as what you see on Storage Wars.
No, not really. It's stuff like that. They don't show you a lot.
Yeah.
I will say I've seen some of the episodes. There was an episode of Northern Exposure.
Northern Treasures.
Well, yeah, that's right. Northern Treasures, and then it was also Storage Wars Canada, where the buyer drove to the dump with his U-Haul truck. We've done that, and we actually recorded doing that. So in that case, that was very real. So they don't show a lot of the stuff on there, but some of the myths of Storage Wars.
Myth number 1: every single unit is going to have at least one item that's going to make you go, oh! And you're going to have to take it to somebody to have it appraised.
Yes. Yeah.
How many times have we ever taken anything to be appraised?
Once. And we didn't have it appraised. We took it to a pawn shop.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah. I mean, you're very seldom going to find that item that you're not going to be able to look on Google, talk to someone you know or whatever, and just be able to figure out what you're doing.
Look it up on eBay.
Looking up, exactly. Yeah. There is not always going to be something hiding in the back to make you go, oh.
I love when she does that.
That's what they do.
Okay, myth number 2. Appraisals are not real. Okay, those appraisals that they were doing were opinions by people that they brought in for entertainment value. Yes, some of the appraisals were fairly close. The
one on Beanie Babies was way off.
That one on Beanie Babies was hilarious.
Platypus! Oh my God!
That's $3,000. I literally, the day after that episode, we watched that episode, I went to an estate sale. They had one, and I carried it up to the front, and I said, "Are you sure this is not $3,000?" And they laughed.
The people running the sale had seen that episode.
They watched the episode too. So appraisals aren't necessarily real. They're more for entertainment value.
Another myth that all of the people that you meet at the storage auction are all going to be like competitive and like trying to like knock you down, and no.
They're not all Dave Hester?
They're not all Dave Hester. We've actually met some super nice people while we're out there doing storage units. I can think of several cases where the guy would come over and help us move something heavy. We would help them move something heavy. We've bought stuff, sold stuff back and forth. I mean, we've met really nice people. There's always going to be people that are annoying in any instance. I will say, as a woman, some of what you see on Storage Wars is true, that they do treat women a little bit like they don't know what they're doing.
Dolls.
Yeah. Oh, honey, move out of the way, honey.
Yeah, that would be a myth. Well, first, another myth too is not everybody at the storage auction, when you see them on TV, is actually there to buy a storage unit.
Yeah.
Most of them are there for entertainment value. Barry, for instance, was not a storage unit buyer. He was a collector, and if I'm not mistaken, ran a produce or did some produce things. But he was a collector, and he did do that. But he was brought onto the show. He's a friend of the producer of the show, and he was brought on for entertainment value.
Another thing is, not every unit is going to be amazing. There are many units that don't sell.
Oh, there's a ton.
They open the door and all that's in it is some trash or a dirty old mattress or something. And, everybody stands there. Nobody bids because they're going to find a gold ring hidden under all that. No. A lot of stuff does not sell.
One of the biggest stories that we have on that is we were at a live auction in Douglasville, Georgia, and they opened up, and it was a double door unit. So it was like a 10 by 30, and it was packed full, and it was old stuff, and it was everything that they always talk about. This is what we look for. It's old stuff. It's all this stuff.
It was nice.
Nobody bid
furniture,
on any of this stuff.
But it also, a lot of things right inside the door had been damaged, possibly by rodents. And it was
You had to have a huge truck, a huge business to process everything that was in there. Could you have made money? Probably, because it didn't sell. They were actually trying to get me to buy it, and
they wanted him to buy it for $5.
They actually told me one time that they would give me money to come clear it out, and I said I can't. I don't have the manpower to do something like that. So a lot of times when you're seeing those auctions, and I do know that in Georgia that there is a buyer that does buy stuff, and he just buys. And he has a crew that comes and they unload the units and load them into trucks, and they bring everything back. And on Storage Wars, most of those people, I know Dave had a crew.
Jared and Brandy
had a crew.
Hired help.
Yeah, they had hired help. They didn't do that on their own. Very rarely did they actually unload the entire unit. I'm not saying that they didn't do that, but they had a crew that was with them.
Another myth when you're watching Storage Wars is sometimes they'll go in, they'll buy the unit because they wanted one or two items in there. They go in, they take the item, they go to the appraisal, and they leave the rest of the stuff. If you do that in real life, you will be banned.
Yeah,
you will not be allowed to come back to that facility. You will not be able to use that auction platform, anything like that. You will flat be banned.
I was banned, right? And I was banned by mistake.
It was an accident, and we got it all sorted out.
I had taken some stuff, and I loaded up my truck, and I had a little bit more stuff left. And what I did was I took it out and I put it, and I brought it over by the dumpster, and I was going to take the stuff that I had over to we actually bought 2 storage units that day. So I dropped off the stuff at the Goodwill, and I picked up the stuff at the other storage unit, and I drove back to the other storage unit, and I couldn't get in.
Yeah.
And they were closed, and literally on my way back, I got a notification from StorageTreasures.com that I was banned. And I was like, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
It took some finagling, but we finally got that all figured out and straightened out, and everybody was fine. But you have to take everything out of that unit, and that is down to the nasty old mattress. Maybe a couple of exceptions for like true hazardous materials that you may be able to get a oversight on, and
also personals.
Even on that,
say leave them in the unit.
You're gonna have to discuss that with the unit before any of that happens, or you will be banned.
That's absolutely 100% true. Another myth: they weren't spending their own money.
Nope.
Okay, they were given money at the beginning of each one of those episodes, and they were allowed to spend that money to purchase the units, because how fun would the show be if they record them at these 20 auctions that they go to, and nobody buys anything because the auctions all suck. So they gave them money to purchase some of those items. Okay, nobody gives us money to buy any of our items. Yeah,
Storage Wars, we're here.
Hello, Atlanta.
Yes.
You know. You'd be able to get us and the Atlanta Flippers. They're one of our competitors. Oh, and Brandy right next door. So Brandy's Bargains on Whatnot. Check them out. So I got to do my shout out for that. Oh, and Atlanta Flippers on Whatnot. Check them out. And Jack's Treasures on Whatnot. Check them out. Okay. I know I'm getting annoying.
You're very annoying.
But yeah, that's one of the other myths on there, and that they made money on all of the units. I think there might have been 10% of the units throughout the entire run of the episodes where they didn't make money on.
Honestly, those numbers aren't off too much for us.
Their appraisals were off.
Their appraisals
were horrible.
I'm just saying that I feel like we've made money on the grand majority of our units as well.
We've made money on about 90%
95
of the units.
Even.
Yeah. The ones that we didn't, that were ones that we broke even on. And that was only because of a struggle to break even on it. There were a couple of, but if you took in our time, our gas and all of that stuff, then it wasn't. We lost money. But so those appraisals were just horrible, but they were fun.
Another myth, I think I've talked about this before, you will not be able to clean out a storage unit in high heels and a dress. Don't even try. Especially if you're a man, but even for a woman, no. I am going to be wearing ratty old gym shorts or sweatpants and not my best t-shirts.
And I'm going to be wearing a dress and high heels.
No, he's not.
No, I'm not. Okay. But yeah, so myths on some of those. That another one would be that they've only went to 2 auctions and there were only 4 things up for auction. Yeah. Now, there was probably about 20 things or 30 things. They just don't show them all because other buyers are there. And believe it or not, those were live auctions. I will say that. Okay, in that part, in that instance, they were live auctions. I will tell you this, though. A lot of times, they discussed and worked out that the auction was already purchased, and then they did the auction for television. Okay, like they would say, okay, well, we're going to do the auction. Oh, look, Dave got this, or Daryl got that one. Let's go ahead and now do an auction with it, and then they'll play it all up.
Another thing that's not so much a myth, but just something they don't ever show online, is that almost every auction is a sad story. It is someone who lost their stuff for whatever.
Like our cat Jessie, who just popped in again.
For whatever reason. And it can be hard to detach yourself from that story. And it takes, to me, a special kind of person to be able to do that. So.
And you also got to be careful. We know, because we talked to some of the storage auction facilities, that some companies, rather than take things to the dump, will take it and rent out a storage unit that offers them the first month free, and then just completely let it go. And they rent the unit off in one of their employees' names. Tire companies do this.
I was going to say, I could probably go online right now in the Atlanta area and find at least 1 or 2 units that are just full of used tires. Mm-hmm. And
because they don't want to take them to the dump.
They put them in there, and
there's an excessive charge.
The facility has to, by law, offer that for auction if there's anything in there. That's why if you're looking at units online, you think, why are they even auctioning this when there's just an old mattress in it? It's just part of the legality of it. They have to offer every single one.
Unless the unit's been abandoned.
Yeah.
So they don't abandon these.
Rules.
They just don't ever pay on them.
Yep.
And then they'll rent out again on another employee's name. Mm-hmm. And they'll get that fun month for free, and they got rid of all of those tires.
So that's one thing when you're looking at units is, make sure that it's something that someone actually wants.
Yeah. Some of the units that were probably in there might not have been lean units. Mm-hmm. There's a difference between a lean unit and a manager special.
That is a topic we will discuss.
Yeah, we'll discuss that one right there. So those are some of the myths of storage wars, and some of the myths of storage auction buying in general. Mm-hmm. A lot of the big myths are you got to buy big to make a lot of money. That's not true. You got to buy ones that are full to make a lot of money. That's not true either. We bought small units and have made a killing on them. We bought big units and made a killing on them.
Our highest profit margin for a unit was one we paid $10 for.
Yes.
And that was for the unit that was full of beans and also a water filter.
Yep.
That was our highest profit margin. Now, have we made more on units? Absolutely. But
Yeah.
as far as for what we spent, for what we made, that percentage.
And
that
how
would be
quick
a
it took us
$10
to unload the unit. Oh my gosh, it took me like about an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Those beans were damn ass heavy, but it was an hour. Another thing that they do show it a little bit and stuff is elevators. I hate elevators. Oh my gosh, I would rather buy a unit on the ground floor and pay more money for it than buying a unit.
You'll find that more in
elevators.
rural areas, that they're like to spread out everything on one floor, a lot of outdoor units.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the city, they're tall. I mean, we've been in one facility. Remember that one that was right by the college? Wasn't that like 6 or 7 stories?
Yeah, and thin.
Yeah.
It was, in my opinion, it used to be a hotel.
Yeah.
And they just converted it into a storage thing. And there was one door, there was one road, and they sold like 6 auctions all at the same time.
And if you buy a 10 by 20 storage unit full of furniture and you're on the 4th floor, I'm talking to you, that one unit that the lawyer owned, it sucks.
Oh, yeah, it was
Up
horrible.
and down and up and down and up and down.
And other people are using the elevator.
And the elevators are usually slow. You usually have to punch in a code every time.
Yeah.
There is a lot to be said for if you can buy one on a bottom
So
floor.
that's one of the myths, is that they look like they process these things out in, a day. And no, some of these things take, you do have to get them done within the 48 hours, obviously, except for the one that we got going on right now. But I rented the unit because I knew I wasn't going to be able to get it. But they don't process those things as fast as they do, or they show on the. But they have to do that. Videos on YouTube. We just talked about this on our video on Friday. So check out our video, our past video on Friday, when we were talking about you make your money on the buy. When you see YouTube videos and YouTubers doing reselling, they're showing you the cream of the crop. They're not showing you the bottom dollar ones. They're not showing you the stuff that they bought that they had to get rid of. There are a lot of showing you the highlights. That's what television does. So
even us, when I've shown videos on YouTube, I'm showing the better stuff because nobody wants to see that box of, old Tupperware that has stains in it and a box of grits. You don't want to see
or
that.
pencils.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to see pencils. And we make a lot of money on pencils.
We do.
But what are we going to do? Say, hey, look, we got a wood pencil. Isn't this exciting? It's yellow. Number 2 lead. Whoa, our view count is going to go through the roof.
But thank you guys so much for coming, listening to us talk about storage units. We love storage units. We're actually going to take a little storage unit buying freeze for the next couple of months, try to get caught up on some things. But I'm hoping late summer, early fall, we're going to be back buying again.
Oh, then that would be a good myth too. Okay. That would be a good myth too. Buying storage units is easy and fun. No, it's not.
It's
okay.
fun.
Fun. All right. You got to have space. I'm
You
just
do.
going to, you've got to have space. If you don't have space, like that's one of our biggest problems right now is I had to rent out the unit that we have. We have a rental unit that we rent out that's got stuff in it. So we just don't have the space for it. So that's why we're taking that break. But leave any comments that you have down there below. A thumbs up would be awesome. A thumbs down would also be awesome.
Like, share, subscribe. Support Stop Soldier Suicide at stopsoldiersuicide.org.
And as always, pet one of these little felines right here. Peace out from Jack's
Bye.
Treasures.